Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal, my solo hike out along Pinyon Ridge to Wilson Peak. Every now and then, while scrolling through some all-trails trip reports, or maybe while spending an afternoon exploring some topographic maps on my mapping software, I stumble upon what looks like an interesting peak or a trail. I jump over to Google Earth for some aerial shots, and then get a quick web search in for some trip reports. Next is a quick flip through some of my hiking guidebooks, some of which are a little older and out of print now. Sometimes it's a bust, but occasionally I hit the jackpot. Today was one of my lucky days. Pinyon Ridge to Mount Wilson, it says on All Trails. Thought Mount Wilson was up in LA. You know, the big one with all the television station repeaters in that big observatory. No, this Mount Wilson is clearly not in LA, but in the northern section of Anza Borrego Desert State Park. And according to the USGS topographic map dated 1959 named Tub Canyon, it's actually only marked Wilson 4573. Now, according to legend, Albert Wilson was a rancher and a cattleman back in the late 1800s who lived in nearby Borrego Springs. He'd herd his cattle from the desert up to the higher elevations near Ranchita when it got too hot down in the desert, and then drive them back down the Tub Canyon Trail, as well as the Palm Creek Trail that descended into Hellhole Canyon from Pena Spring, over near where the Colt Valley Campground is today. Wilson Peak and the Wilson Trail were both named in his honor. The hike to Wilson Peak is one of the longer out-and-back trails in Anza Borrego Desert State Park, and it also travels along an old jeep trail up the well-named Pinyon Ridge. Pinyon Ridge is a charming desert-filled hike with interesting-looking boulders reminiscent of Joshua Tree, and has tremendous views of all the taller peaks surrounding Anza Borrego. Wilson Peak stands just high enough above the desert floor to offer a commanding 360-degree view. Its lower slopes are filled with cactus and creosote bushes, while its upper elevations are dotted with yucca, juniper, and pinyon pine. Part of the fun of getting to the start of the Wilson Trail is just finding the damn thing. Up here, cell service is sketchy at best, and Google Maps is either partially inaccurate or just downright wrong in these here parts, if you get it at all. There's also a myriad of dirt roads and trails and tractor scrapings that lead you nowhere, or maybe worse, into somebody's property, so the risk of getting shot was one of the most nerve-wracking parts on this hike. But once you finally agree you're in the right spot, your fun day of desert trekking adventure finally begins. On my adventure, it looked like I'd turn right on Wilson Road and make another quick left behind Camel Rock. Yep, that's what it's called, Camel Rock. From here I'd head east about 3 miles or so along a narrowing dirt road chewed up by mud terrain tires and storm runoff. Erosion was pretty evident in some places along the route, and I had to be careful not to dip a wheel down into a rut in high centering. I made several wrong turns and drove down some wrong roads before I finally arrived at a turnaround next to a pinyon pine. Here I saw the Anza Borrego sign. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. Today we're taking a drive out toward Ranchita, which is kind of halfway between Warner Springs and Anza Borrego and Borrego Springs. And today we're looking for a road called Wilson Road. It's right around about the Ranchita Market. And we're going to be taking that a little ways down, and we're going to make a left-hand turn. We're going to be heading down toward the Jasper Trail, which is kind of a well-known four-wheel drive truck trail Jeep route at the upper part of Anza Borrego Desert State Park. What I'm looking for is a really small pull-out, and the trailhead for Wilson Trail, or the Wilson Peak Trail. So I'm looking at some signs here, because a few miles back it said it was 5 miles up the road, so I don't think we're too far away right now. I have to keep my eye out for it. And we're going to try to head southbound through part of Anza Borrego, the upper elevations along the Pinyon Ridge, to Wilson Peak, or Mount Wilson, or Wilson Mountain. Depends on where you look. They call it different things on different maps. So here's a street right here. Let's see what this is. This is Breezy Road. That's not it. I know we're getting pretty close. I think there might be a sign that says Wilson. I guess we'll find out here in a minute. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous today. It's 47 right here in the car right now. It was 39 a little while back, so it's warmed up considerably as I'm getting a little higher up on the ridge. Borrego Springs is right in front of me on the other side of the mountain, right before you drop down, right at the bottom of the hill here. That's Valley View Drive, a little dirt road there. Got to be in pretty close. I have it on the GPS, but I had to turn it off to run the video. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting adventure. I don't really expect to see a whole lot of activity. I don't think I'm going to run into any hikers today. Maybe one if I'm lucky. Let's see what this road says. This is Stevens Way. That's not it. And I don't think any of these roads are paved. I'm sure they're dirt. I did bring my traction boards for the Jeep, and obviously I have four-wheel drive. It's been a little snowy and muddy. There sits some snow off in the distance. This is, I just passed it. Hold on, slam on the brakes. This is it right here, Wilson Road. And it looks like, it doesn't look like it's that bad of a road. Guess we'll find out here in a second. Anyway, stay tuned. I'll catch up with you in a few minutes when we get to the trailhead for Wilson Peak. All right, well, we're back on the road again, back on the trail again. And this is going to get a little rough here. And, you know, if you haven't ever, if you don't use all trails, you're making a big mistake because it really comes in handy. And if you haven't, if you're on the app and you see your map, especially like, you know, the driving directions and things like that. But when you go to the, when you click on the map portion on all trails, you'll see an area where you can download the map for offline use. And you really need to do that because obviously up here, there's no cell signal. And you're not going to get Google Maps up here. Even if you are, when I've read, it's not even accurate. But there's like a spider web of roads up here. There's a little muddy patch here, and I keep my speed up a little bit. It's not too bad. Without that, I wouldn't be able to find this trailhead. I can tell you right now, because there's just, like I said, a myriad of roads going all kinds of different directions, and there's trails and tracks everywhere for people riding ATVs and their Jeeps and quads and whatever they have up here. But it looks like I'm on the right road. I know the sun's pretty brutal in the front of the Jeep here, so hopefully I'll be in a spot pretty soon where I can get, what are these big old birds up here? Are these just crows? But there were vultures there for a second. Anyway, the road is rutted in spots. I definitely would not take a passenger car here. If you had a regular truck, a two-wheel drive truck, I think you'd be fine as long as you keep your speed up and you don't mind a little bit of pinstriping. But, yeah, and what that means is you've been scraping along the brush and you're getting scratches in your car. That's basically what that means. All right, here's some more erosion in the road. I might have to straddle this one. I don't know. I might be able to clear it on the right. That's pretty deep. Let's see. Oh, geez. Wow, that was close. I had to be getting pretty close to the trailhead, though. There's a big flat rock over here. So, and in fact, I see a sign of some kind. I have a feeling this is probably it, I would think. Doesn't say the Wilson Trail, though, but I am going to check my... You know what? There's a sign right here. What does this say? Well, doesn't really say much of anything. I'm going to check my map. I might be pretty close. I had read about an area on the map called a slab. And it's basically, it's a off-road remote camping area. And I'm pretty sure that was the turn right there. If you look at Google Earth and you look at aerial view, you'll see there's several boulder groupings and looks like a pretty decent road that goes around them. And let's see what we got here. We got to climb a little bit, it looks like. And it looks like there's some great remote camping back there. So that's something to keep in mind for next time. But the trailhead should be coming up. I looked at it on the map. I am on the right track, the right road now, heading toward it. So I should be getting there any second, I would think. In fact, this could very well be it right here. I remember seeing in the video there was a turn. There was like a roundy round. People were parking off the roundy round. So we'll see if this is it or not. Okay, this says no vehicles, Anza Borrego Desert State Park. I'm pretty sure this is it, the Wilson Trail. I don't see a sign that says Wilson Trail. I'm pretty sure this is it. Boy, I'll tell you, there ain't going to be nobody out here today except me. Just then, a newer model SUV came up the dirt road and backed up behind the Jeep. Well, so much for that idea. While I was getting my gear out of the Jeep, a man exited his SUV and popped the hatchback. While he was changing shoes, I went over to introduce myself. He said his name was Shamad or Shimon or something like that. I reached out to shake his hand in a friendly gesture. He shook his head, looked down, and said, "I don't shake hands," and went back to tying his Hoka running shoes. "All right," I said under my breath, just loud enough for him to hear. "Then I'd have to re-sanitize again," he said. I ignored him and just went back to the Jeep. Don't know if it was a cultural difference or maybe it was just my bad coffee breath. No biggie, not going to let it ruin my day. I stalled just long enough to see him hike past the Jeep with a full-sized backpack south on the Wilson Trail. I would never see Shimon again. After locking up the Jeep, I crossed into Anza Borrego Desert State Park and started down the Wilson Trail. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today, I'm out here just barely about 5 feet inside the Anza Borrego Desert State Park boundaries. And I'm off along this dirt road that was quite the adventure just to get here off Wilson Road. And I'm going to be taking a hike. It's about 10 miles round trip up to a place called Wilson Peak or Mount Wilson or Wilson Mountain, depending on what map you look at. It's named different things. And the reason I'm coming out here is for the tremendous view off the top of Pinion Ridge and the view off the top of Wilson Peak. And I'm going to be looking south down into Anza Borrego. We should be able to see everything, the Salton Sea, all the individual peaks, Whale Peak. We should be able to see the Vulcan Mountains, Granite Mountain. We should be able to see Grapevine Mountain, which I just did a few weeks ago. And along the way, we should have some gorgeous views and some outstanding weather. It's about 45 degrees here right now at the trailhead. It's supposed to get to the low 60s today and not a cloud in the sky. So anyway, stick around. I'm going to be heading up the trail. I guess it's a trail. It's not really marked on a map really as a trail, but it's the old Wilson Road, which has been shut down for years, probably ever since the state park took over. And there's no vehicles allowed up here. So I parked over here and I'm going to be heading up the trail to the top of Wilson Peak. Stick around, follow me up the trail. All right, well, I just started, just past the trailhead sign. In some of the older pictures, I noticed that there actually was a sign that said Wilson Trail. I didn't see it. I mean, maybe there's one down here a little further, I don't really know. But I should get some outstanding views today, and the weather is just gorgeous. And I should be seeing some junipers today, which is what I think this is right here. I don't see any berries on it yet. I'm pretty sure this is a juniper. There's also pinyon pine up here, along with all the different types of cactus. And what's interesting about today, besides the drive to get here, which was a little more than I bargained for, I didn't expect to see anyone today. And 5 minutes after I pulled into the makeshift parking area, another car pulled up, and it was a all-wheel drive small SUV. And that guy got out. He was going to go on an overnight trip up here to Wilson Peak. So didn't think I'd see anybody, and I already have. You can see what tremendous view I have already. Like there's a airplane flying right over there. And just a little while ago, 2 F-22s went screaming right across the top of this canyon. And if I would have had my camera out, I would have got a better view. In fact, there's actually a vehicle parked on the top of the ridge way over there. That must be part of that slab. You know, as I'm hiking up the trail today, I read that this particular trail was mentioned years and years ago about a great place for a backpack trip for just a quick overnighter. And that's what the guy that I met down below said he was going to do. He was going to come up here just for a quick overnighter. He said he was camped down at the Cult Valley campground, which is a kind of a more remote campground, the upper ends of Anza Borrego. There's no fee there, but there's also not a lot of amenities. There's no picnic tables. All they have is one bathroom, one vault toilet for 20 campsites, and fire rings. There's no picnic tables, there's no water, but it is a really nice spot. It's got tremendous views and some great short day hikes from there. So anyway, he came in down the Jasper Trail, which I had read was in not the greatest shape, and he confirmed that. He said it was narrow in spots, got some scratches on the side of his car, but he said it was a rental. So I don't know what happens when he gets back to the rental yard, but anyway, his name was Shimon, and I don't know where he was from, Europe somewhere, I'm assuming, but it looked like he was decked out pretty good. He had a pretty good sized backpack, and looks like he was getting ready to have a good day here along the trail up to Wilson Peak. And I'm hoping I'll get a chance to see those jets again. That was cool. You know, when I was doing a little bit of research for this hike, in fact, you can see the mountains off in the distance. Indian Head Peak is off that direction out in Anza Borrego. But these boulders are very unique and interesting. And what's interesting about them are these little projections out of the rock. And I read a little bit about these, what they were, but you know, for the life of me right now, I can't remember the name of them. So I'll post it down below so you get to see them, but I'm sure we'll get to see quite a few of these today as we work our way up to Wilson Peak. What a tremendous view though, huh? And way off in the distance, you can see the Overlander up there on the white van as we're continuing southbound into Anza Borrego. Well, what I wanted to show you from this viewpoint over here is you have a good view along the ridgeline. This is mainly looking to the west and south. The snowy covered ridgeline over there is Vulcan Mountains. There's also snow on the other ones way in the back. The one there's a slow slope and then there's a kind of a sharp point with a slope on the left. That's actually Cuyamaca Peak, and that's the second highest point in San Diego County. It's like 6,600 feet, 6,500 feet and change, just a little bit below Hot Springs Mountain over on the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation. And just to the left of that, you see one that looks like a pyramid. That's actually Stonewall Peak. We've actually done a hike up to several hikes to Stonewall. We actually went up there during the Perseid meteor showers. That's an awesome spot. Now I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what I'm looking at this direction. It's equally as impressive. Right over here, now you have Whale Peak and Granite Peak all along Anza Borrego, and then down below you have Shelter Valley. So we're going to get a great view of that as we continue down the trail. But there's also something I want to show you right behind me here. So far, even on this short hike, I've only gone not even a mile. Several boulders have kind of piqued my interest, like this one. It's like you wonder how that got like that. I'll show you a photo from the other side. It's even more dramatic, but the sun is coming in from this direction, so it's a little hard to see with the glare. And even behind me, there's a massive boulder that's got a split right down the middle. And these gigantic rocks remind me of Joshua Tree. This reminds me of Cap Rock. And I'm going to spin it around. You'll see what I'm talking about on this other side. And we also have a view looking that direction all the way down into Borrego, Palm Canyon, that area. So this is going to be an interesting day. Well, I don't know if you can see that from here. There is a trail that's working its way, snaking from right to left, and it's zigzagging its way up to the top of that little notch. I thought we'd be going to the right somewhere, but it looks like we're going to be going left. We're going to be doing some climbing here. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but way off in the distance, you can see a brown line. That's the highway that leads from Cult Valley down into Anza Borrego and Borrego Springs. And what's that old nursery rhyme? Bear went over the mountain to see what he could see, and all he saw was another mountain. Well, that's what it's looking like right now. Well, at this point, I've been hiking for maybe 40 minutes. You can see where I've come from. That's Vulcan Mountain over there. And then there's that brown line. That's the trail I just came down. And over that hill right there, over that ridge, is the beginning of my trail. And Anza Borrego is going to drop down to the right. That's over toward Cult Valley. And remember, where'd he go? Oh, there he is, way in the back on the top of that ridge is that overlander, the white overlanding van that I showed you earlier. And so we're getting there. We're starting to climb pretty good now. You know, as I was hiking up the trail toward the top of this little small pass, I noticed some very unusual boulders up here. The one in the background there, we'll try to get a better, closer look at that. It's got a big gap in the middle. And check that one out. Besides what looks like eyeball, it looks like a fish head. It looks like a grouper or something. The giant slab right there. We'll go get a closer look at these. Cactuses are doing well up here. A little bit of desert color. And here's a better view of this one. It makes you wonder how come there's perfectly round circles in the side of that. It's like, how does that occur in nature? You know? I don't know. And there's another slab over there. Well, I've been hiking, I don't know, a couple of miles, maybe 2 miles into the trail. I got a great view still over toward Vulcan Mountain. But you also run into some other interesting things along the trail, like this. Looks like somebody took the time and effort to put some teeth in this boy. It's kind of neat looking, huh? Not too often you find something like this. I did see something like this near Culp Valley on the trail to the overlook in Anza Borrego, but this is pretty cool. Well, as I'm working my way up to the top of this ridge line, it's a little steeper than some of the other ones. I notice we have tracks. I'm going to guess and say they're mountain bike tracks, which is interesting because we are in the Anza Borrego Desert State Park, and I don't think bikes are allowed off trail. Don't know for sure, but first time I've seen them, so I don't know where they're coming from and where they're going to because I didn't see them further down the trail. Anyway, it's heating up. I just can't get over magnificent rocks out here. It almost looks like Joshua Tree. I mean, each rock has individual unique shapes. There's one over there with a hole in the middle. Up ahead of me here is a giant slab. Pretty impressive. Oh, yeah, you can even see Palomar Observatory over there in the distance. All along this trail to Wilson Peak. You know, I have seen several sets of different types of tracks along this trail. I saw a set of deer prints a while back, and I didn't take a picture of those. I saw what looks like a canine print, the bicycle tracks, and one bizarre looking set of like a three-toed sloth. I don't know what that was. And, you know, there are coyotes, foxes, mountain lions up here, deer, a little of everything. Check that thing out. That thing must be 30, 40 feet tall, I would imagine, this pinnacle here. And it's just one of many massive boulders out here in this area. Tell you what, if you were a rock climber or boulderer, this would definitely be a good destination to practice. Well, I finally crested over this rise. It was a pretty steep climb. I was out of breath. I'm getting a little warm too. It feels good up here because we have a little bit of a breeze. I didn't eat anything before I left this morning, and paying for it now because I'm running out of energy. You can see the trail's going to drop down and work its way over that direction. In the V of the notch over there in the distance, you can actually see part of the Salton Sea. And I think the high point over there is actually our destination for today, Wilson Peak. I'm not 100% positive. I haven't looked at the map, but pretty sure that's it. And off to the left, it's going to be a great view of Anza Borrego. But first, I got to get down there somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know if it goes to the right, works its way to the left. I'm not sure. Before we head up to Wilson Peak. Meantime, I got to take a little break, get a little bit of cool air blowing on me, and get a little snack. And something, it's like a little, I don't know what it is. It's about this big. It's like a little dwarf rabbit. And it's running back and forth. It's too far away to see with the camera, but it's running back and forth between the rocks, making all kinds of racket. over there. I think it's the same thing that I saw on Grapevine Mountain a few weeks ago. I told you it was a really small looking, it looked like maybe a bush rabbit or something. Probably what that was. And I'm hoping that a hawk flies around again. And way off in the distance on one of those rocks, there's two birds sitting there. I bet you those are hawks or falcons. Even I can't tell from here. But anyway, we'll get going here in a minute. Just a minute ago, something ran up into the rock pile. And it was, it looked like it was a little bigger than a rabbit. I don't really know what it was. I only saw the tail end of it as it darted. Usually rabbits don't climb on boulders. So I'm not sure what that was. I'm gonna do a walk around, see if I see anything. Well, you know, after looking at the map and looking at my phone, looking on all trails, it appears that that's got to be the peak. Well, this part has been a little more difficult. There is no trail to the top of Wilson. I'm assuming that's probably a cairn. It's been pretty steep. It was real steep back there. And it's not so bad here, at least it's open. I got hung up on a old burnt out juniper back there. It was snagged up my pack. I see one rock up here. It could be a cairn. If it is, it's a big cairn. We'll see. We're getting there. Whew, I'm breathing pretty heavy now, but I'm pretty close to the top. I can't see it yet. I'm hoping it's right there. There's no false summit. But I am starting to see a cairn here and there. There's two in view right there, and blue sky up there. So hopefully, with any luck, that'll be it. Well, it looks like I've finally reached the summit of Wilson Peak, or Mount Wilson, or Wilson Mountain. I don't really know. There's a summit register. It's in a coffee can right under this rock. I guess this is supposed to be the actual marker. Probably was at some time. There's a benchmark right there. And another benchmark right over here. Now we got a pretty good view from up here, as you would expect. All of the Salton Sea, which I've seen it from a distance, but I've never seen this much of it in one viewpoint. You can see all down into Anza Borrego, Borrego Springs down there to the left, and all the way out toward Mexico at the other end of the Salton Sea. Nice cool breeze. Large, kind of a flat open area. It's a perfect spot for lunch. That's exactly what I'm going to do today. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I've definitely earned this one today. About 5 miles to get here. And let's see, hopefully there's no rattlesnakes in here. Looks like this is my summit register. This right here. Got a pen. And it looks like a Write in the Rain notebook, maybe? No, just a regular notebook. Wilson benchmark. I'll go ahead and put my name in this one. Someone was just here. Today is April 1st. It's my sister's birthday. All right. Put my name in there, Anthony Jones. Put this back in here. Cover up the jar with a can, keep it nice and waterproof. And I'm done. All from the top of Wilson Peak out here at Anza Borrego Desert State Park. This is a Swedish military mess kit. And What this consists of is a windscreen, Swedish windscreen, and inside it has pot support stands. So you can set your pot in here. This is a reproduction. This isn't an official old military Swedish mess kit cook set. This is actually a reproduction because the old ones are really, really hard to find. And what you'll find in here, besides a lid, which also works as a lid for the pot and also a serving vessel, there's also a plastic cooksa drinking cup, so you can have your coffee if you want coffee. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pour some water in here, and I'm going to make some top ramen. So I have my Keith titanium cup. I'm going to put in about, I don't know, that looks about right, I guess, of water in there. And this is my Trangia burner stove. So I'm going to go ahead and put, I'm going to say about maybe a half ounce, maybe an ounce of, I probably don't even need an ounce of denatured alcohol. This is Heath, the stuff you get in the yellow bottles at Walmart or AutoZone or Kragen or any of those places, Pep Boys. And there goes the lid. So I'm just going to pour about half ounce in there. That's probably all I need. And then it's really easy to light. You just need a fire steel and a sharp edge. So I brought my fire steel with me today. And this lights pretty fast. And if I do this right, with a 90-degree spine on this knife, I should be able to get this lit on the first try. Hopefully I can do it without knocking it over or burning a hole in my mat. All right, I think it's lit. All right, it's going now. So this windscreen is going to go over the top of it. And once this comes to a full blossom, we had some jets flying over here really low earlier. I can hear them, I just don't see them right now. So that's going pretty good. Set my pot on top. The lid, you put it upside down. This way it doesn't get stuck. So in the meantime, I gotta wait for this to heat up to a rolling boil so I can throw in my top ramen. And I'm gonna take a break while this is heating up. Get caught up on my hydration. You know, I thought today, since I was gonna wear my Australian Akubra cattleman hat, I might as well celebrate with a Foster's beer from Australia. I had it nice and cold when I left the house. I buried it way deep inside my pack, and it's still cold. We had an earthquake at my house yesterday. 4.5, centered on Mount Palomar, which is over that direction. And we have another small storm coming in a couple of days. This is the leading edge, but not much. It is kind of hazy. You can see the Salton Sea pretty good out that way. I can hear the flame from my Trangia stove heating up my water. I also have some salmon. I'm going to throw some salmon in there once it gets hot and just add a little protein to it. It's perfect weather up here. It's got a breeze, but it's nice. I brought some coffee. I don't know if I'll get around to it. This is a lot of Foster's. Now Shmod, the other guy that I saw at the trailhead, he's working his way down in the valley. He was coming up here also, but he was planning on spending the night. I bet you get phenomenal sunrises from this vantage point. Something to think about for a future trip, especially if you're out here testing gear. Well, it's been a few minutes. Let's see how this is doing. It's still a little warm. And I'll just do it like this. I can eat it right out of the pot. Has a nice little grab handle on it. So this is going to be salmon flavored top ramen, all from the top of Wilson Peak. Well, Wilson Peak is behind me now. I've come down off the peak, worked my way down, trying to follow the cameras best I could, but they weren't always in the best spot. So I stuck to it, you know, where I could see them, and then pretty much just worked my way down. But it was one of the easier scrambles, I must say. And it was kind of nice up there on top. There were lots of flat spots, a lot of flat rocks to set your cook gear, a lot of open spots to set your tent. I could see coming back here. And the grade is, you know, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster, but it's not that. I see a really neat looking rock over here. Wait, I gotta stop and get a picture of this rock off. I didn't see it on the way out here. Anyway, yeah, the grade isn't bad. I'd come out here again. You know, I gotta get a picture of this rock. It's kind of cool. All right, well, there's a rock out there. It kind of looks like this. Well, I'm almost at the car. In fact, I can see the vehicles at the turnaround here. And I was following a couple that were right ahead of me here. I'll give them a few minutes. And been a nice hike back. I can't believe I didn't see one rattlesnake today. Not one. Passed a whole bunch of really neat people on the trail today. And it's been a really nice hike. Somebody dropped a water bottle on the trail. I'm sure it was one of those groups that was heading out for the overnight. They're going to probably need that, but this water's hot. So anyway, I'm back at the vehicle. That'll be into my trip here, and now I get to get out the ice chest and get a nice cold drink. Well, I made it all the way back to the Jeep from Wilson Peak. I just made the turnaround back there and heading back out this road here. It was kind of rough coming in. There are some spots that are questionable. You know, if you have four-wheel drive, you have decent ground clearance. I'm sure a Subaru would have no trouble up here. There was an all-wheel drive. I don't know what it was. It was a Mazda M3 or something that made it, but he came from the other direction. It was a rental, so he said he didn't care if he scratched it or damaged it. So, but anyway, it was a good adventure today. It was a really nice hike for a hike that I'd never heard of and a place that I'd never been to. I was surprised to see so many people there. I was really shocked. Not so much going out, but coming back, I ran into a group of about 10 backpackers, and then another group. There's some overlanders right there, and it's like a pretty big group of them right there. That's a spot to check out next time I come back. That heads over to the slab, and that looks like a really nice camping area, but it's not something I would think I would do on a weekend, too busy. But anyway, yeah, it was a nice hike. Didn't see a lot of wildflowers, which was kind of surprising. And other than a few, I saw one jackrabbit, saw a couple of little brush rabbits, and that's really about it. This is kind of a tricky spot right here. It's you got to get kind of close. Oh, that was a little more than I bargained for. I actually got in one of the ruts. I was trying not to scrape the side of my Jeep, and well, that was close. That wouldn't have made it in a regular vehicle. I'll tell you that right there, what I just went through. But anyway, it's been a great day. Weather's been absolutely stunning out here. It's been, in fact, right now it says it's 64. It feels warmer because it's in the desert. It's dry. But boy, weather was absolutely perfect. Short sleeve shirt, little breathable synthetic shirt underneath it. Man, I never got hot, never got cold. That wind wasn't very strong at all. It was just enough to cool you off. Couldn't have asked for a better day. And I met some really, really nice people. There was a family I ran into, 2 girls and a boy, probably early teenage years with their mom and dad. They were going out, spend the night on the summit. Ran into another group of 4 or 5 girls, probably college age, spring breakers. They had backpacks and they were going to go up there and spend the night. And so yeah, there's a lot of people out here, especially for a place I never heard of. And I guess it's a little more well known than I thought. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this trip to Wilson Peak out here in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Oh, man, I didn't get in the window. It just sprayed my Jeep pretty good at going through the mud. Like, here's another mud. I better slow down a little bit. Yeah, this ought to be a pretty good adventure. If you ever decide to come out here, it's probably wise to bring somebody with you that knows the trail. But you really can't get lost. It's pretty obvious. There's no signs. There's no sign at the trailhead. I didn't see any signs the entire time I was up there. There's not even a sign for Wilson Peak, and there's no official trail. It's just a used trail. It's not marked by Karens, but oh, squirrel just ran in front of me. But just download the app, the All Trails app, and then make sure you download the map for offline navigation, because you're going to need it, because you're not going to get cell signal out here. Believe it or not, I did actually have full bars on the top of Wilson Peak, so I was actually able to, send a text message and check my emails and all that stuff. But all along the way, there was nothing. So, well, anyway, I'll catch up with you next time in another edition of the Journal. Another rough spot here as I'm heading up. I don't know what that'll be, but spring is right around the corner. I can smell it. So pretty soon it'll be kilt and sandal time. Well, anyway, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Hey, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you get the latest updates as I post them. There's a big dip right here. I gotta figure out a way to get around this sucker. It's a big one. Alrighty, yeah, looks like I made it. Hopefully I'm going the right way. I haven't even been checking the map. Uh-oh. This one, I don't know if I'm going the right way. Alright, hold on. Alright, well, we're back on track now. I got lost a little bit there. I wasn't lost. I have it on the offline map, but I noticed my little dot was veering off of the path I was on. There was a sign that said you needed permission to pass down that road. I thought, well, that's the road I came up. There was no signs on the way up that I saw, but I guess there was. So anyway, and I ran into another couple, and they were lost as well, and they were going the other way. And they were going out to the Jasper Trail, and they were going out the other direction. And so anyway, even though we were both kind of lost, they were going a different direction than I was. So I started to follow them for a second, then I saw that it was not the right way, so I stopped and turned around and went the original way that I was heading to begin with, and lo and behold, it was the right way. And now I'm back on track, and now I'm back down where the little ranch lands are, and I'm coming up here in about a minute or two, up back on the road that leads back down through Ranchita, and eventually down to Warner Springs, and my route home. So I survived. And I had it in 4-wheel drive because it was pretty muddy, so I took it out of 4-wheel drive. I'm in 2-wheel drive now. So, well, anyway, I should be home in about an hour. It's a little after 3. It'll be 4:15 time I get home, so a little later than I thought, but oh well, it is what it is. Anyway, it was a good hike, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Well, that'll do it for another edition of the Hiking Journal, my solo adventure along Pinyon Ridge to Wilson Peak and Anza Borrego Desert State Park. I have to admit, this was one of the nicest hikes I've done in a while. The weather was perfect, the terrain gentle, the view spectacular, and the hikers I ran into friendly. Well, most of them. I did get lost a little bit on the drive back out to the highway, but nothing a little offline navigation and luck wouldn't cure. It was a nice, pleasant drive home, and I made it home just in time for dinner. Anyway, don't forget to click and subscribe and tap that notification bell to get the latest updates to the channel as I post them. I think I can finally see the rainy season in the rearview mirror and look forward to some great spring hikes in the near future. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Bye-bye. Oh, and one more thing.
What's a chameau?
Come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on.